All right, welcome back to the O&G StrikeZone. Brian Fulford, Kelvin Rozier, Marcus Green. As you can see on the screen, we got a round table of folks here to join us tonight. Let's go ahead and introduce folks. I just kind of, I hit the buttons and I think it kind of worked out the way I wanted. We'll see how long this lasts. If you see at the top of the screen, joining us is Alison Posey of WCTV right in Tallahassee. Alison, how you doing tonight?
I'm good. How are y'all doing?
Doing well. Alison's been on the show, so welcome back to the show. Up in the top right, it's almost like, what was that game show where you got people like in the top corner squares? up in the top right corner there, you got Zach McKinnell of the Blue Bloods, FCS.com, and now the FCS Football Central. Zach, how you doing tonight?
Man, appreciate you guys having me again, man. It's been a little while, but I'm glad to be back on the show with you guys.
Yes, sir. Good to have you back. Of course, down at the bottom left of the screen, you got GT3, Gerald Thomas of the Tallahassee Democrat. How you doing, Gerald? Welcome back.
Hey, what's happening there, everybody? I appreciate y'all for having me tonight.
Yes, sir. And joining us first time on the show, and looks like we got just audio, but it's all good. We got Rory Sharrock of the Rattler Review podcast and Sharrock Media Group. Rory, how you doing tonight?
Good evening, everyone. I promise I'm here. I'm trying to get the camera straight, but so glad to be with all of y'all.
It's all right. It's all right. You got that good smooth voice. I'm a little jealous, Normally I'm the one that gets the voice, but it's all good having you in the room, Rory. Good to have you here. All right. So we invited our roundtable of journalists who cover FAMU and FAMU athletics to join us tonight because it's a good time to kind of talk about FAMU, and we got a host of different things that we're going to get to. So hopefully you guys in the chat room also feel free to jump in there and feel free to add in your comments as we go. All right, so let's kind of get going, and we'll start with we'll kind of go around the horn with Alison to start, and we'll kind of go with the good old biggest disappointment and surprise this season for FAMU football. Biggest surprise and disappointment this season. Alison, what you got for us?
So I kind of combined it into both because I'm surprised and disappointed about this team's lack of consistency. I really thought coming in with a veteran quarterback, some good receivers coming back. Defense, they lost some guys, but they had a lot of guys coming back too. I think the lack of consistency definitely been a surprise to me, and it's also been a disappointment, I think, to me and everybody else, because I think a lot of people didn't expect this team to have to fight so hard every game. Now, I will say on the flip side of that, if you're going to fight and you're going to have to go through adversity, it's better to be on the winning end, and they've done that. So the fact that they've been able to fight and overcome that is a good thing, but I'm definitely surprised with how much they've had to, given the sense that they did have a lot of veterans back at a lot of key positions. So I'm both surprised and disappointed by that lack of consistency.
Good point. Good point. Zach, what about you?
I think the biggest surprise is probably the defense for me. I thought they were going to be good, but I mean, you're looking at a defense right now that's allowing less than 275 yards per game. They're getting after the quarterback really well, forcing a lot of turnovers. They've kind of exceeded my high expectations for them, but I think the disappointment is the rushing attack. You saw that first game against Jackson. We saw that dynamic duo come out. Yant finally makes his big appearance, and they run the football really well against Jackson, and it's just kind of disappeared at times, almost like it did last year. Last year, that was my biggest criticism of FAMU, ranked dead last in the SWAC in rushing, and it just seems like they've never truly committed to running the football. And I know they've been banged up on the offensive line, and play calling might not have leaned into the run game, but I think they're too talented in the running back room not to be better at running the football consistently than they have been.
Good point. Good point. I think you kind of got me right there on one of my surprises. Rory, what about you? Biggest surprise and disappointment so far this season?
Kind of to piggyback off of what Alison said, it's a surprise and disappointment at the same time, but I'm going the route of the secondary playing as poorly as they have. The defense has been outstanding, at least the front seven has. but for the secondary to only have one interception, Kamani King, and oddly enough, as great as the Dark Cloud defense is, and this team has the potential to win not only the SWAC East, the SWAC, and the Celebration Bowl, they could end up at the end of the season losing the turnover battle. And that's got to be a head scratcher for a high caliber championship team to give the ball away more than they're taking it away.
Oh, good points. Good points. How about you, Gerald? Biggest disappointment and surprise and disappointment so far?
Well, I would say the biggest, like Alison said, the biggest surprise and disappointment is the lack of consistency on the offensive end. I know it's a new look receiving room, new look running back room, but like you said, you have a veteran quarterback that's coming back in the same system for the first time in his college career. And just to see how it's always it's always one or the other. It's going to be a slow start and maybe a good finish or a good quarter that's going to allow them to run away with the game, or it's going to be a fast start and then it's like you just coax to the end of the game. So that's something that I really want to see them really get better at, and just putting together those complete games. Another thing is, like I said, I think it's a lack of commitment to the rushing attack. Because this year, over the first 6 games, I've been really impressed about Terrell Jennings. And I know Terrell Jennings have been there since 2019, I believe. Mm-hmm. And when he gets the ball, he's a problem. And he looks faster than he's been in the past. And, Terrell Jennings, he's really a guy. So I think, you really feed him the ball and, and see what he can do. I think, maybe they'll open the playbook more towards the rushing attack that they have.
Good point. Good point. Kelvin, what about you? Biggest surprise, disappointment?
I think there's no more meat on the bone. They got it all. It's been it has been the inconsistency. I've talked. They've heard my spin on this for the last 7 weeks, but I want to see us play 4 quarters of good football. I expect we done played our tougher competition on the front end. So I'm anticipating we got some teams where we can put 40, 50 points up. They're not very good defensively. And that's what I want to see. Finish strong.
How about you, Marcus?
It kind of ties into the same theme that most folks are saying, but I would go this route. And, I've been tracking the last couple of years. I would say the inconsistencies, given the number of seniors and graduate students that we have on the team, and tied into that, the number of penalties. We were, 2021, we were dead last in FCS. Last year, we trended up a little bit. I guess we were in the lower 100, so we went up about 20 spots. And so I expected that trend to continue, where we would have fewer penalties, especially given the experience that we have, but we've reverted back to 2021 form. Granted, we did make the playoffs that year, despite the leading FCS and the number of penalties and penalty yards and penalties per game, but I did not expect that. So that's probably my biggest disappointment and surprise.
I'll piggyback right on top of that, Marcus, because that's what I had written down. And I was surprised. I was waiting to see whether anybody was going to say it, and then here comes Marcus at the last minute. It's penalties. I looked it up today. We are and I don't know how you say this properly, we have the 4th most in the nation, FCS, at 57. That's 4th most in all of FCS football. And we have the 3rd most penalty yards in FCS football with 515. I mean, that is a surprise. I did not think we would be, and still we are what we are, right? From a team perspective. And I guess for me, the disappointment would be the scoring. I mean, you guys kind of touched on it. We're only averaging 27 a game. I think we all thought we'd be averaging 30 more a game. And also I thought our completion percentage passing would be better. I remember us talking in the preseason, the goal, if we could get to that 60, what do we say, 64, 63?
65.
Yeah, 65. Like how many points and what would this season look like? And we're only at 58. We're at 58. We are what we are in terms of points wise, and we still have the top quarterback in the SWAC. All right, our next question, kind of get this great top up.
Brian, you're fading out.
Okay, I thought that was just me.
Sorry, I'm moving not moving the cord here.
There you go. All right, there you go.
All right. Thank you. Mid-season grades. We'll go offense, defense, special teams, and we even throw the coaching category in there. So if you want to throw in some grades in there. So we'll start it off with Zach this time. Zach, what do you got? Mid-season grades.
I would say offense, probably a B- for me. I don't think they've been bad. It's just like you said, they've kind of been underwhelming to a point. I mean, averaging under 30 points a game. I figured they'd be closer to the 400-yard per game mark, or even a little bit higher than that. And they've just really lacked that explosiveness that I was expecting from such a mature team. Defensively, I understand they haven't forced, a ton of interceptions or anything like that, but the way they get after the quarterback, how dominant they've been at times, I'm gonna give the defense an A-. I've been really impressed, especially the front four. You look at Isaiah Land leaving. You look at some of the question marks coming into the season about a true edge rusher. Anthony Dunn has answered the bell in a big way. Gentle Hunt's having a career season. There's just so much talent in that front seven. And then we don't even have to talk about Isaiah Major, who's putting together a SWAC Defensive Player of the Year campaign, possibly an All-American type season at linebacker. In terms of special teams, I think it's been fine. I would give it a B. And then in terms of coaching, I'm gonna give it a B-. I still think there's, like we talked about, man, committing to the run game. You got too much talent, and I really think the second half collapses at times. You look at that Jackson game; they had a chance to really kind of run away with that game, and then something just stopped clicking. So I think the coaches have to put some of their playmakers in better positions to capitalize. And also, I think it's just been inconsistent halves of football, and ultimately that falls back on the coaches. So I would give it a B- as well.
Okay. Good deal. Rory, how about you?
Well, for me, I'm going to give the offense a B-, simply because, like, the overriding theme, the running game has been a problem, especially the way it came out in that Jackson State game. And I really thought in the Jackson State game, the offensive line were collectively the MVP of the Orange Blossom Classic. And I really thought that their commitment to the run was going to be something we were seeing week in and week out. So for that, I will give the offense a B-. Moose is playing well, but again, the completion percentage, we thought that it might be a little bit higher. The defense, I mean, I know the secondary has had their issues, but the way the front seven has been playing, I'm going to give them an A+. And one of my favorite stats is third down conversions. And they rank 5th in the nation in third down percentage of stopping the opponent. So basically, it's like you have first and second down to move the ball, and third down is just the equivalent of fourth down, and then you're punting. So for that, defense has just been lights out. Special teams, I'm going to give them a B-. Great opening kickoff against Jackson State. There have been some penalties that have kind of hurt the special teams play, and I would like to see, of course, we got so spoiled by seeing Chris Fadul. Not that Wilhoy isn't, I'm drawing a blank on the punter's name, but not that he's not playing well, but we just got so accustomed over the years of seeing Fadul consistently flip the field and all the starting inside the 20. And for coaching, I'm going to give a B+ for coaching because, yes, there are some adjustments that should have been made that weren't made. They're winning games, but we really want to see that foot on the gas pedal from the kickoff to the end of the ball game.
Rory, I'm glad you said foot on the gas. I thought you were about to say something else.
This is a family show.
Some of us
that too.
That too, right? That too.
Yeah.
Gerald, how about you? What are your mid-season grades?
Yeah, so first I'm gonna start off by giving the offense a B-. They just got to get right, man. Like Coach Simmons said, what game was that? After the Mississippi Valley game, he said he pulled the offense to the side and asked them, do y'all get tired of defense carrying y'all? And I feel like that spoke volumes that he would actually say something like that, because I think he sees it too, and I think that's a way that you can motivate them, because I think a lot of people see it that way. A lot of people may say, oh, they didn't have this all-star defense, they would be a very beatable team. So I'm gonna start off with that. Jeremy is playing well. He's trying to get accustomed to those receivers. I really enjoy how he really utilized the tight ends over the last few weeks. I was a little league tight end, so I hold a special place in my heart for tight ends. So I just want to see them just go from start to finish. Defense, I'm gonna give them an A. Fifth team in FCS, fifth total defense in FCS. And defense is just crazy. You know what I mean? I had someone come to the game. They was like, who are players to watch on defense? I was like, everybody. Just watch the whole defense. Just pick a player each player and just watch them. You would like to see the DBs get some more interceptions. Kamani is the only one with an interception. So for them to get that A+, I want the DBs to step up and get some turnovers this weekend for their grade to move up. Special teams, I get them a B. And like Rory said, we're so used to seeing Chris Fadul flip the field, but Trey Woodhood is doing well too. I think he's 17th in the nation in punting in the FCS. But also we've seen some blown coverages on kick return. So if they can get that figured out, then I think the special teams will be well off, and you won't have to worry about putting your defense in unfavorable situations, even though the defense usually doesn't fold even when put in those type of situations. Anyway, coaching, I was kind of teetering between a B and a B-. If I had to choose, I would give them a B-, just to kind of motivate them a little bit to really be able to manage this talented of a team. I think that's one of the big challenges. This team know that they're talented. So you kind of have to coach them up a different type of way to really get them to reach their maximum potential. And if they erase all those mistakes, the penalties and the blown coverages on kickoffs and being consistent, man, just imagine what this team can do this season. So that's my grade so far through 6 games.
Good job. Alison, what's your grade book looking like?
I think offense, I give them a B-. I agree with everybody. I mean, going last kind of sucks because I feel like I'm just repeating what everybody else has said. But I don't think we've seen the full potential on this offense yet, which stinks because we're midway through. But it's also kind of hopeful because what can we see if this offense can get it together? The run game hasn't done what it needs to do. I think the receivers have some drops that they shouldn't be dropping. Moose is like 58% completion on the season. Not terrible. Could be a lot better. His decision making sometimes is a little bit questionable, which again surprises me because he is a veteran quarterback. So I give him a B-. The defense, a B+. They've only allowed 12 touchdowns on the year. That leads the SWAC. And everybody's talked about it. This defense has a bunch of freaks on it. They're fun to watch. They're good. They sometimes, like Gerald say, carry the offense. So I definitely give the defense a higher grade than that offense. They get a B+. Special teams, I give an A-, guys. I know everyone's kind of dogging on Trey Wilhoit. He's averaging 43 yards a punt. Like, the guy's not doing a bad job. He's, again, top 20 in the nation. We're perfect on PATs for the year. They're doing what they need to do. And I think it was Gerald said too about the penalties. I mean, there's some things they need to clean up, but overall Trey's doing a great job. And so is the kicking game. Coaching, I give him a B-. I think, again, opening up that run game, not being so conservative with it. But also this team has to get over playing with their competition. And that, I think, falls a little bit on coaching. You have to give them that extra push and not let them hang around. If somebody needs to be put to sleep, put a team to sleep. And I think that comes back. It comes back on the guys, but it comes back on the coaching too. How are you coaching them to make sure that happens? So I think the coaching can do a little bit better. I give them a B- for the year so far.
Nice. Marcus, what's your grade book looking like over there?
Pretty much the same as everyone else's. I'm not in the interest of time. I'm not going to go through like full grades, but I think just as a reflection, I think on our preseason show that we did, we talked about this could be the closest approximation to a Billy Joe Gulf Coast offense that we've seen in years based on the experience we had coming back, having to find a replacement for Xavier Smith, but with all the experience at receiver, rejuvenated running game based on who they recruited, and the offensive line. So I would definitely give them like a high B on the offense, but you know, there's a lot more potential to reach. Defense has been lights out, with the exception of I'm surprised at the secondary play, just like Rory said. You know how there's been a couple plays that we can remember, either in the Orange Blossom Classic and I think against Southern and one other game where someone got behind us, and it did seem like the DB was in trail position, was kind of jogging, not putting full effort, trying to strain. I think Coach mentioned that on either one of the shows this week or maybe late last week, that he wants to see the DB strain a little more. And if you think about it, if those plays have been defended, those long touchdowns, we could be looking at an even lower scoring average for the defense, or not having given up a touchdown either to Jackson State or somebody else on a long play. Special teams, I would give probably a B+, because they were shaky in the Orange Blossom Classic as it relates to kicking. I believe we got 2 kicks blocked, 2 field goals blocked. But then we got that straightened out. I think Coach mentioned, or someone mentioned, that they put players with a little bit more length and girth on the outside based on film review from special teams and the Orange Blossom Classic. But that kind of got balanced out by opening kickoff touchdown. And we've given up a couple good returns. So, and the punting, I think, is pretty much maybe on par, maybe a slight tick, and is very slight than what we're accustomed to with Chris Fadul. So I would give them a good grade, and we've cleaned up the field goal kicking, or the goal kicking, field goal and extra points. So we haven't had a block. I don't believe we've had one since the Orange Blossom Classic.
No, I don't think we have either. How about you, Kelvin? You have your grade book look any different than anybody else's that has been already out? Beating on Kelvin here. I think he's on a bit of a delay.
No.
Go ahead.
That's it.
That's it? What'd he say?
No. Keep it going.
No. All right, there it is. Beautiful. I love it. I love my lowest grade was a special teams with a C, because I just keep thinking about those kickoff returns, how we just look bad on specialty on the kickoff returns. That's on kickoff return defense. That's it. Everything else, I put that as a C. Okay, let's go. Where are we at? MVP of the season. Now this is kind of odd. Mid-season MVP, offense, defense, special teams, newcomer. Obviously, a little bit of these can be combined. So let's see let's see. I think we're on Gerald. Gerald, I think it's on you to go first. All right, Gerald. Let's go mid-season MVP through the first: offense, defense, special teams, and then newcomer. And obviously combine if you got to.
Yeah. I don't think I'm gonna combine though. I feel like that's taking it. I think that's taking the easy way out. For offensive MVP, you already know MVP is a quarterback's award. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna give it to Moose. But I don't want that to mean that he can't get better, because Moose can be way better. Like I said, his decision making is questionable at times. I think sometimes he overthinks, but at the end of the day, he's the best quarterback in the SWAC. You know what I mean? So he has to continue to show that for him to maintain this MVP honor that I'm giving him to stay towards the end of the season. Defensive MVP, I'm gonna give it to Zay Major. 3 double-digit tackle games. I was going back and forth. People know how much I love Anthony Dunn. Anthony Dunn, if you would have won the Florida Classic MVP last year, it would have been because of me. So Anthony Dunn, that's Anthony Dunn. He's a star in the making. But I put Isaiah Major over him, because Isaiah Major, he's that voice of the Dark Cloud defense. You know what I mean? I think everything starts and ends with him. So and he puts that out on the field, just like when he got that interception against Alabama State, and just seeing all those guys, rallying around him. I believe that was his first career interception, and for him to return that. I think he played a little bit of running back in high school too, the way he was out there stiff arming folks and all that. So I just got to give it to Isaiah Major, and I don't think I got to tell him, but I need to tell him congratulations on getting the invite to the Legacy Bowl.
Right.
What's next?
Special teams.
Special teams. Special teams. I'm gonna give it to Will Hoyt. I mean, I know people, I know a lot of people compare him to Fadul and all of that, but I mean, Will Hoyt is an All-American too. He's an All-American punter too. Like I said, he's top 20 in the nation in punting, so I'm gonna give it to him, and I know he's happy to be back home. And also, Will Hoyt has another year of eligibility. If y'all didn't know, he got another year after this. And lastly, newcomer, I'm gonna give it to another hometown kid, Marcus Riley. I got a stat line right here: 20 receptions for 329 yards and 3 touchdowns. And we all remember how the season began with Marcus Riley. So I'm gonna give it to him. He's been a star for them. When you have a guy like Xavier Smith leave out, for a guy like Marcus Riley to come in and step into those shoes as being really like that number one receiver to lead the Rack Boys. I got to check with Coach AC to see if they Rack Boys yet. Because last time I talked to him, he said, "No, they ain't Rack Boys yet. They got to earn that." So, but Marcus Riley, I'm gonna give him the newcomer of the year. And I know he's happy to be back home in Tallahassee playing his final year of college football.
Yes, indeed. All right, Alison, who you got? Who are your midseason MVPs?
Am I allowed to do double, or do I got to pick one?
No, sure, hell, why not? It's your awards. Yeah, go ahead.
There we go. Okay, offense. I know people have. I'm looking at kind of potential here, what he's done and the potential. Jaquez Yant, I mean, I think he was a great add to this offense. I mean, the kid's got legs the size of tree trunks. I mean, the way that he runs the ball is something else, and he's been fun to see. And you're going to hear the name Marcus Riley a lot for me because I think the kid is a stud. I'm so glad he came back home. He was so much fun to cover in high school, and I'm just so thrilled that he's being able to finish his career at home at Florida A&M. So offense, I have Yan and Riley as my offensive mid-season MVPs. Defense, Isaiah Major. I mean, again, the guy, it speaks for himself. The way that he's led this defense, he was one of the leaders that we talked to a lot during this summer about guys stepping up in the spring to take over guys that had left, and he was one of those leaders that people looked out to. So Isaiah Major's taken that role and ran with it and has had a really good fall. So defensive MVP is definitely Isaiah Major. Special teams, saying his name again, Marcus Riley. He's done a great job. Again, we talked about how the season started. when he ran that back, I was like, oh my God, is this how this game's going to go? So Riley definitely special teams. And my newcomer goes to Marcus Riley too. I mean, he does special teams and receiving for them. I mean, he's where you need to be, when they need to be it. He is the guy, I think, for FAMU. And again, just super thrilled for him that he gets to wear the Rattler uniform this year.
Awesome. Yeah, I forgot you covered a lot of these guys in high school.
Oh, yeah.
So
I just saying that, too. I mean, the fact that Yant, Riley, Trey Wilhoit played at Childs. I mean, the fact that we get to cover them, went to their signing ceremonies, and now we get to cover them in orange and green. It's just the coolest thing for all of us to see them succeed and doing as well as they are. So just always have love for the hometown guys.
Nice. Very well. All right, Zach, what are you looking like? Who you got at MVP levels?
Man, I know what my guy G said over there because it is a quarterback award. But Brian, me and you talked to SWAC Media Day. I try to buck that trend. I hate that it's just given to the quarterback by default. So I'm going Marcus Riley. I think he's been the most explosive option on offense. He's really stepped up in some of the biggest games. The last game against Southern, man, he really stepped up in a big way for FAMU. Of course, with that kickoff return against Jackson as well. He's leading the team in receiving right now. I think if they keep feeding him the ball, he's just a playmaker. He's going to go make plays, which makes him my newcomer as well. Defensively, listen, I'm an O-lineman at heart, so I love a good edge rusher. I got to give it to Dunn, man. He's been unblockable at times. And I think you have to give him a little bit more credit, too, because of the role he was trying to step into. Everybody was like, who's going to be the next Isaiah Land? Who's going to replace Isaiah Land? And it's just, you got to live in that shadow. And he's done a heck of a job stepping up and really making the plays in the biggest games and having some massive games. I want to say he's one of the top edge rushers in the country right now. And then Will Hoyt gets the special teams. I think, like you said, it's always hard following up, Fadul and what he was doing. But like listen, he's an All-American for a reason. He was doing it at his previous school as well. So I'm gonna give special teams to Will Hoyt.
I love it. I love it. Hey, look, everybody, we can see Rory. Rory Sharrock, ladies and gentlemen. Good to see Rory. If you didn't see me, but no, Rory, looking good. You got, man, Rory, you get good voice. You got the good beard going on. And, man, you're killing it. You're killing it. All right, what's your MVPs looking like, Rory?
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna fall in line. I do hate that, whether it be the Heisman or the MVP, it's always a default quarterback thing. Okay, we get it. We're in the passing era, and we all love it. But I'm gonna go a different route, and if I think I got the numbers correct. I know Jalen Goss hasn't played a lot of games, like he's missed some games, but I think he's only given up 1 sack. And we know that the rushing attack hasn't been the best, but since FAMU is so pass happy, you got to go with the offensive line. And a guy like Jalen Goss, and I think Colvin as well, I think they both are about like maybe 1 or 2 sacks for the whole year. And think about, I think Musa has well over 200 attempts. So when you think about how many times he's dropping back to pass, and his uniform isn't getting really dirty other than sweat stains, that means he's getting some great protection. So I'm going to go Jalen Goss. I'm going to go
like that. Okay.
Totally different, not even a specialist from the offensive line. Defense, I mean, come on. It's Isaiah Major. Anthony Dunn is – FAMU has a chance to lead the SWAC in sacks 3 years in a row.
Yes.
And Anthony Dunn is really doing big things. And I feel you, G, on your vote for him. But Isaiah Major really is just the heart and soul of this defense. And I've had this running joke with him dating back to last year that you should fall out of the bed with 10 to 12 tackles, and then everything else is house money. That's just how good he is and how much of a ball hawk that he is. Newcomer and special teams, I got to combine it. Marcus Riley, what more can we say? I mean, what a welcome back to Tally. And I'm in South Florida with that kickoff return, and he just does everything. We might as well put him in the Wildcat more often and let him do what he does there. I mean, Alison saw all of that great stuff in high school, and he is just such a phenomenal talent, and he is really doing it up. Special teams on the return and just in the passing game. So he gets my award doubly for in that area.
Man. That's good stuff. I think I'm doubling up on a lot of these. Kelvin, you got any awards that look different than anybody's here? I mean, Rory went like off the page with the offensive lineman, but I love it. What about you, Kelvin? I feel like there's a countdown here. Kelvin, 3, 2, 1. Kelvin, you're on mute. All right. I'm gonna come to you, Marcus. Marcus, while I wait on, I feel like we're playing musical squares. Anything different?
No, nothing different.
Nothing different. Yeah, I pretty much had. I'm with you. I had Musa as I'm going quarterback. You know how I love my quarterbacks. I'm going with quarterback for MVP. I did have Dunn. I'm with you, G. I got Dunn as MVP defensive side. 3. Let me see. First in sacks, 3rd in tackles for loss. And I got a feeling he's going to be first in both categories. And the voters are going to have a tough decision at the end of the season. Are you going to go with Major or are you going to go with Dunn? And I hope they don't split the vote and then it ends up being somebody like Colton Adams. I mean, I all love the Colton Adams over at Alabama State, but I worry that the SWAC voters are going to say, oh, who do I choose between the 2 FAMU guys? And then it ends up going to Colton Adams on points. I'm just a fear. So anyway, that's what and then I got Marcus Riley, not only for special teams, but newcomer. Hey, has anybody looked into the fact that we opened the season with a opening kickoff? How many other schools or teams have done that? And I'm knocking on wood, fingers crossed. If we end up winning the championship, how many other schools opened the season with a kickoff return touchdown and then won the championship? That's just research. research for all you media folks. You guys, you guys got teams of people that you can put on this. I'm working for a job, but you guys got researchers. All you guys got researchers. So anyway, let's go to
who has research?
That's what I was wondering. I was wondering who they were.
Researchers right here.
I'm a one man army.
All right, so see, we just dispelled a myth that everybody has, is that all of us and all you guys have research staffs. Okay. All right, let's go to let's kind of quickly go through we'll just kind of go around the horn quickly. Offensive play of the year, mid-season offensive play of the year. Let me see. I'm gonna go to Gerald. I may go out of turn here, so bear with me. Gerald, offensive play of the year, quickly.
Man, I was hoping you was gonna choose me last.
All right, I asked who's still. Let me see who's ready.
I'm gonna say Kamari Young's touchdown against Alabama State, just because he a tight end. I rock with the tight ends.
All right. Offensive play of the year. Alison said she's ready. Alison, what's your offensive play of the year?
Oh, is this play or player?
Yeah, play.
Oh,
like,
Lord.
Can you think of like one play? Did I word that poorly?
No, I don't know how to read. Apparently.
That's all right. Play of
you got to come back to me.
All right,
because I didn't player of the year.
I got you. How about you, Zach? You got a play of the year so far?
Yeah, it might be recency bias, but just because of how competitive that game was on the road in Baton Rouge, that game-winning touchdown pass, the fact that Gassett broke that tackle going into the end zone, man, he protected, because if that's a strip right there, who knows what happens going down in that game. So I'm gonna give it to that game-winning touchdown from Musa to Gassett against Southern.
Nice, good choice. Rory, how about you? Offensive play of the year so far?
Same thing. The Southern game-winning touchdown. Alison was there. That was a big play. I mean, not to say that it would have derailed the season, but Southern is a very good team. It was on the road. And then if you think about all of the backlash that Musa had coming into that game from how poorly he played, the Mississippi Valley State game. So for him to throw the game-winning touchdown, that's the play right there.
Yeah, right. I'm going to agree, and not just because I read this wrong and I'm an idiot, but I am going to agree with that, because being there at that game too, it was such, as you would expect, it was such a hostile environment at Southern. It was loud. I'm a wimp, but it was kind of cold. It was just the way that fourth quarter started with the light show and the little scuffle at the middle. Like, there was so much intensity heading into that fourth quarter. And then Southern scored, which I'm still not 100% sure he crossed that plane for the touchdown. But, there was so much going on in that game for them to drive down the field like they did. I definitely, and to get that play heading into a bye week too. So you have all that emotion. You kind of have 2 weeks to kind of let it settle, get better before going to Texas Southern. I think that's definitely the play of the year. They had to win that game, and they had to win it on the road, and they did it in fashion.
Nice. Marcus, I got one. Marcus, do you have one? Well, I know we're short on time in this segment, but what do you got?
I do have a quick one. It's not, I don't know if it's as critical as the Southern game, but I can't remember which game. I don't know if it was West Florida, but when Terrell Jennings broke off like a 65-yard run.
Yes, 73 to be exact.
73, okay.
Yes.
And I was like, man, that boy's got some jets. I didn't see that in 2019, 2021. I mean, he was gone.
That was
I was getting hyped.
Yeah, let me make a correction of mine. That was actually the West Florida game when Kamari Young scored that touchdown. See, I got the picture, the came with the picture right here.
There you go.
This picture right here.
Photo evidence.
Yeah, this the one right here. This the one right here. Shout out to the tight ends, man.
Is that a screensaver that you got there, Gerald?
No. Come on, man.
That's okay. That's all right. But yeah, I think Kelvin, you had the 73-yard by Jennings as well. I saw you. Yeah. So isn't that funny? Okay. Yeah. All right. Good deal. Hey, we'll come back on the other side of this break. Give you guys to think about the defensive play of the year. I think we all can say, does anyone disagree that the special teams play of the year was the opening kickoff? Can we all agree? There hasn't been anything.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. So we won't
Agreed.
even.
Agreed.
All right. So when we come back from the break, defensive play, and then kind of get into the second half of some of our conversation. I know we're short on time. We'll see how much of it we can get through on the other side. You're watching the O&G Strike Zone right here on the Black College Sports Network. We'll be back in just a moment.
If you think all pads are exactly the same, think again. This is Always Ultra Thins reinvented with the Always Triple Protection System. This pad wicks gushes 90% faster, absorbs even more so you can feel dry, and locks odors in. Rethink your pad for up to 100% leak-free and odor-free comfort with the totally reinvented Always Ultra Thins. This is always like never before.
The Cuvée Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cuvée.
As technology continues to bring changes to the world of education, it's time we also reimagine teacher professional development. Gone are the days of one-size-fits-all learning that can only be accessed at a specific time and place. The Stride PD Center is an on-demand library of mobile-friendly courses that allow educators to learn anytime and anywhere. Our dynamic courses provide bite-sized learning and help educators advance their knowledge while also gaining professional development hours. The best professional development plans are those that include a level of flexibility and choice for educators. Whether you're a teacher, school, or district, visit us today to take charge of your learning.
All right, welcome back to the O&G Strike Zone. As you can see, Brian, Kelvin, Marcus, joined by our roundtable of FAMU journalists who cover FAMU, a better way of saying that. Alison Posey, Rory, Sharrock, Gerald Thomas, and Zach McKinnell. All right, so in the last break, we kind of left off just a little meat on the bone, defensive play of the year, top defensive play that we have seen, that you have seen this year. Alison, I'll start with you. What do you got?
The Alabama State pick six. What was it? 14-10 when Isaiah Major picked off that ball, took it back. How many was it? 40 yard, 45 yard? I mean, it was half the field. Yeah. Took it back. I mean, it was a close game, too close. And that kind of put that game to bed, gave them that bigger lead. So I would say that definitely defensive play of the year. That was a big win for them. They needed that win.
I know I'm right there with you on that one. Rory, what do you got?
The Isaiah Major pick six. He is a former running back, and I like really the run after the catch, the way he shifted lanes, and I think he even switched the ball from one arm to the other arm to move it, so if he fumbles, it goes out of bounds. Just showed his instinct and his talent, and I think FAMU was still going to win this game, but that just how that solidified it, and the crowd was just so electric. That's the play right there.
And did he hurdle some guys? He may have hurdled two people.
Yeah, he did. He did do a hurdle too.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? Might even be the second best run of the year, period. Zach, what do you got?
Yeah, it's the pick six. I think everyone's kind of broke it down. I mean, in that moment, to kind of put that team away, it's got to be the pick six.
Gerald, what about you?
The pick six. I love seeing players just go into a different element outside of their position. And Isaiah Major, he went from a linebacker to a running back, so I really enjoy watching that play.
Marcus, Kelvin, you guys got anything different? Because that's sure enough what I wrote, the pick six. What about you? You got anything different?
No, but the best part of this pick six was the stiff arm and him taking his helmet off at the end. I love the ending.
What about you? Anything different, Marcus?
Nope.
All right. All right. So let me transition here. We're going to kind of move forward because I know everybody's time is valuable tonight. But let's go to second half projections of FAMU for this season and then maybe the rest of the SWAC. If you can think about the second half projections for FAM, what do you think it'll be? And then who's coming out of the West? If you kind of just talk about the rest of the West. So, Rory, I'll start with you.
The second half predictions.
Yes. Yep.
We'll be here. We'll all convene in Tallahassee for the SWAC championship game. I don't see this team losing. I know that there will still be some close games, and I'm going to go out on a limb and even say this. The Florida Classic is going to be very close, and people are going to be on the edge of their seat at the half. But the Rattlers are going to they're going to win that ball game. But this is a rivalry game, and even though Bethune is going to have absolutely nothing to play for except for wanting to spoil FAMU's hopes, because they're already going to be on the high of winning the East Division and get ready to play at Bragg in 2 weeks after that game. Bethune is going to play them very, very close in the first half, but FAMU is going to pull it out and get that dub.
All right. Any thoughts about who might come out of the West?
Oh, the Wild Wild West. It's going to come down to the Bayou Classic. Okay. I think whether win or lose for Grambling, no matter what Southern is doing, Prairie View or Alcorn is trying to get in and they need some help from the Bayou Classic, that's what's going to determine the West champion.
Okay. All right.
I got Southern.
Oh, you got Southern. Okay. You got Southern. Okay. There it is. Call your shot. Zach, what do you got?
Yeah, I think FAMU kind of walks through the rest of their schedule. I mean, right now they've played the 102nd, easiest schedule in the country. The rest of it ranks like 111th. I mean, Texas Southern losing Andrew Body for the year was a tough loss for them. PV just got held to 100 yards of total offense by a bad Houston Christian team. So I have no faith in either one of those teams. I think the toughest game is probably that road trip to Huntsville against A&M because we saw what they just did to Grambling. And then I think everyone on this panel remembers what happened last time FAMU was in Huntsville, how stressful that game was a few years back. So I think FAMU is going to win their division, get to the SWAC championship host. In terms of the West, I like Alcorn. I know it's not a popular opinion, but Aaron Allen has been balling. I mean, multiple games of 200-300 yards. They made that QB switch. They get Southern at home. Grambling helped them out last week losing to A&M, and I just don't trust Dooley and Southern. I think they're going to choke it out a few games down the stretch, and I think Alcorn is going to, by default, get out of the West.
All right. Gerald, how about you?
Yeah, I see FAMU winning out. Like I said, the toughest game really remaining is that A&M game. I think last time they went to A&M, they were down 28-10, I believe, or up 28-10 almost. I'm not sure. I wasn't covering them there, but I know it was close. I know it was some type of league discrepancy that went in jeopardy. But anyway, so I think FAMU wins out. I think the Florida Classic will be a very close game, but I think December 2nd will be in Tallahassee. I'm actually told my family, I said, if y'all want to watch some championship football, going to come down to Tallahassee, come down from Savannah and come watch some championship football. Y'all will see me at work, and y'all will get to enjoy the game, enjoy the environment. So I think we'll have the SWAC championship here. As far as the West, I know a lot of people don't trust Dooley, and I ain't saying I trust Dooley. Never met him. You know what I'm saying? But I like to see Southern come to Bragg. When people ask me what's my favorite game that I ever covered from FAMU, I always say the FAMU Southern game from 2022. So I love to see those two teams, historic rivalry matchup for all the marbles in the SWAC.
I'm crazy here. I got Alcorn coming out of the West. I don't trust Dooley. I don't trust Hugh. After what PV did, I got to get rid of that vote. I got to go with old Coach McNair. I just got to go with McNair. I just got to go with what they got. Kelvin, who do you got? Are you changing your votes on the West, or who you got coming out of the West?
No, if you remember, I predict that Alcorn would win the West, and they would have 3 losses, and I'm gonna stick with it.
Yeah, you did. You did. All right, let me transition to this question because we're about at the 1-year anniversary of AD Sykes being hired on at FAMU as the vice president of athletics and the AD. And so we kind of look at what's the first year been like for her. And if, not necessarily saying a grade, but how would you evaluate what you've seen from AD Sykes? And hey, if you want to give a grade, feel free, but just more so a look at what you've seen in the first year, maybe things she's done really well, things that are kind of like have been part of the learning curve. We'll go to Zach. Zach, we'll let you kind of start it off. What are your thoughts here?
And as you know, I'm a football guy. I just cover football, so I'm not gonna, put a grade on nothing. But listen, I love the upgrades they've done to the stadium that I've seen. Definitely looking forward to get down there for the SWAC championship if you guys host. But yeah, I'm not gonna speak on anything above my pay grade. I'm a football guy. I'll leave it to the rest of these guys that cover the admin and everything like that.
I got you. I respect that. Gerald, what about you? How'd you evaluate what we've seen from the first year from AD Sykes since she's been hired on?
Yeah, it's crazy that was a year ago. I still remember that day when she got hired. I remember I took a nap. I woke up, saw someone say, "Fam, you got a new AD."
Wasn't.
Made some calls. But people be like, "Oh yeah, I don't know nothing about it." So I'm like, now I got to find out on my own because something isn't adding up. But AD Sykes, she's a first time AD, and she was going to have those hiccups. But I think she's doing a pretty good job. I think as years progress, as she stays in the tenure, she'll get those improvements. Like I said, the stadium upgrade. I know some of those things have been in the works before she got there, but just kind of continuing those things that FAMU has already set in stone has been a good thing. I really enjoyed her first hire as an AD, Coach Gordon, over women's basketball. I think Coach Gordon is really going to turn the tide. That's something that really stuck out to me when Coach Gordon was talking to us at media day, and she pointed to the Raptors, and I looked up, and it was nothing there.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And I was like, dang, she got me. So I see what she kind of trying to bring here to FAMU. So AD Sykes, she's doing a pretty good job, and I'm excited to see what else she'll bring. It's good that the high school state championships are coming to Bragg, and just hopefully, just as FAMU keep building on that brand that's already nationwide. Under her leadership, it just keep growing, and she keep making good decisions and listening to fans and boosters, alumni, supporters.
Right. Alison, I know you were one of the first people to get a nice, good sit down with AD Sykes. You might have the record for amount of time that she's actually spent talking with anybody. So what's your kind of evaluation over the past year since that initial conversation?
Yeah, I've always been a fan. When I had that when I did that one-on-one with her, I was really impressed with her. I thought she was open, she was honest, she had her clear goals. And what I've said from day one, her expertise is in compliance. What was FAMU's biggest issue? Compliance. So whether she lasts another year, another 10 years, what she was hired to do, she has done. And this team is in compliance, and we are not repeating what happened the day before that North Carolina game last year. So I think it was an excellent hire. And what I've also said is that, will they let AD Sykes be AD Sykes? Are people going to try to insert their opinions, try to boss her around? If people let her do what she needs to do, I think she'll do a great job. And so far I have been impressed with her. I know one of the things that a lot of people have brought up was the lack of communication with the tailgating and stuff. And a lot of people wanted to blame her. A lot of that fell on the university too. So you can't put all that blame on the athletic director. And I do agree with Gerald about bringing the high school football state championships, because I cover a lot of high school football. Bringing that to Bragg is excellent. It's excellent for the football program. It's excellent for recruiting, because you don't got to leave. They can sit in their offices, open those windows, and you got some of the best high school football players in the entire country playing literally in your backyard. So bringing the high school football championships and working with the city of Tallahassee to make that happen, A1 job. You get to show off your campus, and you don't even have to spend any money to do it. So I'm super excited about that. But I think in a year's time, I think she's done a great job. And I can't wait to see what they accomplish in the future with her leading the Helmet Athletic program.
Nice. Rory, you too, recently I saw had a conversation with A.D. Sykes. So kind of what has been your evaluation of what everything you've seen and heard over the past year since she was hired on?
I think VP AD Sykes, she's done a good job. We do have that connection. She's been on the show a couple of times. We both are CIAA alums. She walked into a train wreck. There were a lot of things going on. And I've been covering this team since 2018, and she's about the fourth or fifth AD that I've been covering. So that, she inherited a lot of problems. Like, you'll hear that about incoming, like presidents newly elected. Okay, I got to clean up this. And to Alison's point, yeah, the compliance thing, that was just a national thing. And it was very embarrassing. And for FAMU to pull off 9 straight wins after all of that last year, that's kudos to coaching and everything. But for her to clean that issue up, I give her a lot of props for that. I give her a lot of props for the Gordon High, the tailgating and parking and ticket lines. I mean, you guys are alums. That's been going on probably since Gaither was alive. So, it is what it is with that. So, but she still there's a lot of things obviously that need to be done. But so far, so good.
All right. We can talk about we'll talk about our evaluations later. I will say anybody can get the message across. A.D. Sykes, we're children of Spartans, Norfolk State Spartans. This is family. Come on to the O&G. We are both children of Norfolk State Spartans. There should be love here. Come on to the O&G. That's all I'm just gonna put that out there publicly. As a matter of fact, our fathers went to school together. I'm just going to leave it at that. Now I'm going to move on to the next question. Okay, last question here. Last question, and I know we got to get you guys out of here. National perception of FAMU football and athletics overall. What is it, as you guys are amongst other media members that come in and cover FAMU, and when you hear from other folks, what is that perception like? What are you hearing? What are other people saying? Of course, other than Jackson State folks, just in general. I'll start with Zach, because Zach, being, of course, of FCS Football Central, Zach, we'll start with you on this one.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a guarantee. All the FCS people I've talked to, just my perception, it's kind of everyone's kind of already previewing the North Carolina Central FAMU game in December, which there's a long way to go. The first MEAC conference game isn't even played till tomorrow night, so we have no idea. And Trey Oliver has collapsed at times against South Carolina State, so we'll see what they look like. But I think it's just kind of a consensus that they're a top 25 team, but it's the same problem everyone had with Jackson the past 2 years. It's the same problem everyone had kind of with North Carolina A&T at times, is they don't really have a signature win. And Brian, me and you have talked about this one-on-one. There were some external things that happened with scheduling that kind of put FAMU in a bad situation this year, but it's been a long time since FAMU really tested themselves in terms of out-of-conference games, especially against FCS competition. And the most recent memory voters have is going to Southeastern Louisiana and running into the buzzsaw that was Cole Kelly, and that game was never competitive. So it's just kind of, and then with the SWAC, they only have 2 D1 non-conference wins. One's against winless McNeese State, and the other's against South Carolina State that only has 1 D1 win themselves. So the kind of comparison game's tough for voters, because it's like, well, if FAMU had to play UT Martin's schedule or Delaware's schedule or Harvard's schedule, are they sitting at the record that they are? Or is it because they got to play West Florida? Is it because they're going to get to play Lincoln? Is it because they got to play Valley? So that's kind of the national perception, is FAMU's really talented. They're a top 25 team, but it's just, what's the ceiling for them? Because we still haven't seen them play a signature win, and that Jackson win may age poorly the way that program's going right now. But it remains to be seen how Jackson finishes up the season. But that's kind of where FAMU sits in terms of the FCS landscape.
Appreciate that. That's good stuff. Gerald, how about you? What are your thoughts here?
Well, it's nice to see FAMU nationally ranked. I believe, no, don't quote me on this, but I think they might have wasn't ranked in the FCS coaches poll until like maybe after the Classic. I think they were number 24 in the nation. And now they're number 18. They were number 16 last week, but the bye week moved them down. So it's good to see that. But I would like to see FAMU play more out of conference FCS games. And I mean, if you're gonna play Division II games, play against the upper echelon Division II. I think the West Florida opponent was a good thing. And I ain't gonna lie, I like to see FAMU play against my alma mater, Valdosta State. You know, and,
I knew that was coming.
I was just going throwing that out there. I mean, back when I was in undergrad, you know, we spent a lot of time coming down to Tallahassee. You know, Valdosta State has a lot of black students there that will come to Tallahassee and come see a game like that and be in that environment that you know, that is Bragg and Wander's way. So I want to see more FCS out of conference games, and I want to see a FAMU VSU game too.
Okay. Alison, how about you?
I mean, let's be honest, guys. From this time compared to last year, I think the national perception of FAMU is a lot better than it was. It was not good at the beginning of last season just because of everything that happened, and it was tough to see because this is a program that obviously as fans, you guys love them. I mean, I love covering them. Coach Simmons is a class act. The whole athletic department is a class act. So it was tough to see them that way, but I think now things are on the right track. A lot of good athletes. Again, I just specifically talking about the way they were portrayed in the national media last year, I think things are light years better than they were at that time. And again, I'll bring up the high school football state championships. Now you're being put on a center stage for the entire state of Florida and maybe nationally too, because some of these teams from South Florida are going to come in and they have nationally ranked players. So you're going to see that FAMU Rattler logo probably on a lot of highlight tapes moving forward. So anytime you can get the orange and green out, you see that Rattler head, that puts them on a national stage. And I think it's only win-win. So compared to last year, and again, being ranked in the polls helps, having national players helps, having guys doing good things. You talk about Marquise Bell having a heck of a game the other day for the Cowboys. Anytime you have guys, former FAMU Rattlers, making headlines in the national media, you're doing well, and that's all positive things for this program.
Well said. Rory, we'll end it with you here. What's your thoughts on the national perception of FAMU and FAMU athletics?
I think FAMU and FAMU athletics, two different things. But I think from the athletics department, it is a potpourri basket. I think look at the coaches from Willie Simmons' tree that have been plucked. So if from Marshall, where Ralph Street is the defensive line coach, you have there's a coach at Ole Miss. There's a coach. There's Jelani Barras back at his alma mater at Youngstown State, and so when you have a lot of coaches that are being assistants that are being plucked and going to higher level, so to speak, jobs, that must mean something, at least from the coaches' world standpoint. They're like, okay, they're doing something down there. They're winning. They have the way we all are in Bragg. We see how it is, and it's a great show, and they're winning. You have the compliance thing. Yes, they've come a long way from that. I do wish, however, the scheduling was a little bit better. I want the Atlanta Football Classic to come back. I got my covering Atlanta Football Classic freelance writer, and just remember how great that game was. And Tennessee State's in the Ohio Valley Conference. I do want them. I hate that they're playing Lincoln, some school out of Oakland, California. I do wish they were playing for the D2 scheduling. Every year, rotate around to have either Fort Valley or Albany State. I know they're not they may look at that as frowning on it, but just the proximity of that, it's a big money draw. It's a rivalry. Keep that. But yes, I do wish they would play a little bit, have a stronger non-conference schedule. And please don't play Lincoln anymore.
Can I add, I want to add one more thing too that nobody mentioned that I think is important. Josh Padilla, the SID, released that statistic the other day about social media. FAMU was Correct me if I'm wrong. 16th nationally. I mean, they were ranked above Florida. That says something. That's all you need to know about what this program is doing in the national media. When their social media posts are one of the highest in the country, that's a good thing.
Yes, it is. Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
I appreciate you guys. Give the plugs, Alison. Give the plugs. Let people know where they can find you, how they can find you, and we'll go around the horn.
Absolutely. So I work at WCTV. So if you're in town, CBS affiliate and North Florida, South Georgia, but also on Twitter, you can find me at Alison Posey 14. That's 1L. I'm a 1L Alison. So ALISON POSEY 14. Same handle on Instagram, also on Facebook. Alison Posey on TV.
Gerald, GT3, go ahead.
Hey, FAMU beat writer at the Tallahassee Democrat. You can find all my coverage at rattlernews.com or tallahassee.com/FAMU, or you can just pull up you can Google Gerald Thomas III and I'll come up. Social media on Twitter. Social media on Twitter, name 3PG, the number 3, the letter P, the letter E, the letter A, the letter T, the letter G, the letter E, the letter E. 3PG. That's my name on Twitter. And I don't think I'm ever gonna change it from that neither. So
never change it. Never change it. Beautiful. He said, look me up on. All right, I love it. Zach, what do you got? Go ahead.
Listen, I guess you can look me up on Google too. I don't know if I'll pop up as much as he will, but listen, you can find me Twitter, social media at Zach McKinnell. You can follow all my work, FCS, Football Central, for Sports Illustrated, Fan Nation, and then also on Hero Sportsman with my guy Sam Herder, and all the FCS coverage you want on the Blue Bloods, YouTube, all podcast streaming platforms. Man, appreciate y'all having me though.
Hey, congratulations on all the moves you've been making, Zach. Rory, let people know where they can find your work, man.
All right, you can listen to the Rattler Review podcast, All Things FAMU, available on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Player FM. Follow me on Instagram at Rattler Review, and I still say Twitter, even though it is X, whatever, at Married to Game 1 with the number 2 and the number 1.
Hey, I hope everybody who's watching, listening, you guys in the chat room, please hit up our guests. Let them know you appreciate them all coming in. Great info by everybody. We love listening. Trust me, we listen to all of your stuff. We glean information from all of it. And I love the fact that there's so many different, there's so much more coverage. Trust me, when I got into this back when we were in college and wanting to do this is because it was just the Democrat. And now we've got podcasts, we've got websites, we've got more news stations covering, dedicated. I mean, it's a beautiful thing. So thank you to all of you for your coverage of our beloved university and FAMU, and we're looking forward to a great second half of the season. And who's going to Texas? Anybody going to Texas here besides Kelvin? All right, so Kelvin's the only one going to Texas. So
I got it. I'll hold it down for everybody.
All right, exactly. Just send everything to Kelvin. Thank you guys for your time tonight. Excuse me. And we will be in touch with you guys. Make sure you guys hit them up on X, Instagram, or wherever they are. Hang in there. We got a little bit more left in the show. We'll be back right after these words. You're watching the O&G StrikeZone right here on the Black College Sports Network.